devoted more than a half-century of his lifetime traveling in northwestern China collecting folk music. Wang Luobin is the pioneer musician who put Western ethnic folk songs on the map of China's indigenous music. A place far away in Qinghai. Maila in Yili. Lift your veil in Kuche. And Alamuhan in Turpan. Now, Travelogue salutes this adventurous musician. We follow his footsteps, bring you the true color of this amazing part of China. Travel with Travelogue.
Wonderful music. This is a folk song of the Uyghur people called Lift Your Veil. It was collected and adapted by a Han Chinese musician Wang Luobin and let it know all over China. All the Chinese love it. Today we follow this wonderful music to Xinjiang, Kuche and Korle. Let's unveil another beauty of China.
The vastness of Xinjiang is breathtaking, and the beauty of it leaves you gasping. The road stretches on and on and on, and the landscape looks so close, yet so far away. The sheer scope of nature here leaves our car looking like a little ant, moving under the equally endless sky. Heaven is indeed pretty close here when you look at the land below. The folk song Lift Your Veil was born here in Xinjiang and originally sung by the Uyghur people. The famous Chinese Han musician and music collector Wang Luobin took this song out to the rest of the country. Now we are going back to the heart and soul of it. The bizarre terrain looks barren and boundless. This land has been sculpted by a strong wind that always blows in the same direction and the gentle erosion of occasional rains. Sitting in the middle of this landscape is the city of Kuche, our destination, and a little green oasis in the desolate cradle of the Gobi Desert. The city of Kuche is quite small, but it was once an important stop on the ancient Silk Road. Kuche was also once the center of the ancient Chuzhi kingdom. For over 1,000 years, the mighty kingdom flourished. But now, few traces of that glory are left. Only the great stories live on. Kuche city is divided into the new district and the old. In the old district, you can find the main mosque in Kuche, generally called the Kuche Mosque. It's the second largest mosque in Xinjiang, right after the Idakar Mosque in Kashgar. On Friday, the road near the old bazaar starts to choke up with all kinds of transportation, all heading in one direction, to the market.
Isn't it exotic? I'm taking a donkey taxi to do some shopping. Over there, that's the biggest bazaar over there, the biggest local market around the region. And I got lots of things to buy. Most of all, I'm going to get some wonderful music. 一念一念，念。走啊。
The bazaar is the biggest event of the week. Thousands of people from far and near come here for some business and fun. Friendly, cheerful, spontaneous, and generous. These are the words that come to my mind to describe these people. When we were finished at the market, my friend Aliyah takes me to visit a typical Uyghur home.
你也喜欢这个？你知道他为什么要把盖头掀起来吗？
不是那个我们维族人结婚时候那个盖头的那个戴那个
会戴一个这个东西，
会戴
别的时候
拉开，那时候呢结婚时候结婚开始时候妈妈那个妈妈打开女的脸以后。
There is a story about this song, which Wang Lobin also collected when he adapted this humorous music from a Uyghur tradition. Around harvest time, the Uyghur farmers would gather together to have some fun. And as one of the diversions, an old man would dress himself like a woman, with a handkerchief covering his face. At the end of this little game dance, the veil would be whipped off and the old man revealed, much to the mirth of the crowd around. And the background music would be the famous Lift Your Veil. Wang Lobin adapted it into Mandarin and turned it into a much-loved favorite with the rest of the country. The ride on the donkey cart is actually pretty comfortable and relaxing. At the end of the ride, Aliyah took me to a nice Uyghur courtyard in Kucha, to her uncle Yasin's home. The little garden is filled with flowers and plants that thrive in the dry heat of Xinjiang. And the Uyghur people are hugely welcoming to guests. Even if you were a stranger, they would welcome you with wholehearted hospitality, offering all they have, from tea to fresh fruits to dry fruits to homemade yogurt to refresh you. The grape arbor provides blissful shelter from the relentless sun, and to sit here in such a comfortable courtyard and enjoy a moment of cool breeze under the grapevine is a real treat in itself. Another favorite Uyghur dish is what they call la tiaozi. Basically, it's noodles with a special kind of carefully prepared sauce. The sauce is a scrambled mixture of beef and vegetables such as tomato, beans, eggplant, cabbage, onion, and green peppers. The process of turning the noodle dal around guarantees a texture that is both resilient and soft. You may choose to have the noodle hot or cold. After dinner, Aliyah gave me an original version of Lift Your Veil in its original Uyghur language. It's slightly different from the Wanglobin version, but if you listen carefully, the merry essence and humor of the song remains the same.
Kilometers north of Kuche, the little oasis, we arrive at the mountain range of Tianshan, which means mountain of heaven. And those people call these mountains Kritlia, which means the red mountains. And we are going to visit a mysterious canyon hidden inside.
The Great Canyon glows red if you come at the right time, when light plays tricks on the humongous rocks. Floods do often visit here, and that's why we have the reef at the entrance of the canyon. This mountain was formed about 140 million years ago during the Cretaceous age. After eons of pummeling and stroking and lashing by wind and rain, the rock formations have developed their own utterly original character. The complete hike to the other side of the canyon is some 5,000 meters, and it takes you about 2 hours. The canyon is not that famous around the country, so not many people come here. It's more or less untouched by human intrusions. So if you listen very carefully, it's one of those places where you can hear the land singing old songs to itself. The rocks were here long before people arrived, but nevertheless, on the mortal scale, the traces of civilization left around here are amazing enough. The ancient Chotsu Kingdom was a bridge between the cultures of the East and the West, and the region is littered with many Buddhist caves with murals, Buddhist temples, and many other ruins that bear witness to the long history. On the roads between Kucha City and the Great Canyon, you'll find the Kizergaha Beacon Tower. Built during the West Han Dynasty, it's more than 2,000 years old. Standing 13 meters high with a base perimeter of over 20 meters, it's one of the best preserved of its kind in Xinjiang.
Somehow, this ancient beacon tower reminds me of Wanglobin. It passed on military message in ancient times, and Wanglobin passed on music heritage. He's the one who allowed the rest of the country to get to know those wonderful, wonderful music in northwestern China. His mission accomplished, his legacy remains.
The Taklamakan Desert, the biggest desert in China. We made a little detour into it before arriving at Korla, which is some 5 hours drive east of Kucha. The desert landscape is dramatic, but after a while, it becomes mesmerizing. The desert can change its nature at very short notice. You can be in this golden landscape, then suddenly, out of the blue, so to speak, you can find yourself being whipped by filthy grit in a devastating sandstorm. Withstanding all these years of wind and sunshine on the desert, these are legendary poplar trees. Apparently, they lived for 1,000 years, and they have remained standing another 1,000 years after their death. And for a third 1,000 years, they will not rot. For quite a while in Chinese history, the Kucha dancing and singing has been famous all over the country. It has been immortalized in poetry. Many famous poets, including the most famous one, Li Bai, have sung their praise. The songs and dances might not be quite the same today, but the talents have passed on, along with the continuous quest for beauty. For a brief time, the desert is a great playground, and it's splendid. But think twice if you feel like moving in as a permanent resident.
This is certainly not a very friendly environment, beautiful as it is. Now in his book, Wang Laobin says, I walk along the border of the desert year-round, and my feeling is that the more harsh the environment is, the more imaginative the people are. Now, coming to think of that, I think it's quite true. Look around, the endless desert without one drop of water, and think of the Uyghur people and their beautiful music. Wish I could get some inspiration here. I've lost the count of time. How many hours? We're still in the desert.
Following a visit to the biggest desert in the country, we arrive at China's biggest freshwater lake, the Boston Lake, less than an hour's drive outside Kuala City. The lake covers a total area of more than 1,000 square kilometers. Under a cloudy sky, it glows here in the desert.
This is incredible. It's hard to imagine there's such huge amount of fresh water in the big Gobi Desert. And that one is called a big Boston Lake. Naturally, it has a little brother, the small Boston Lake. Reminds me of somewhere in southern China. Listen to the birds.
The little brother bristles with reeds. A ride in a fast boat on a waterway like this with the Gobi Mountains looming is quite a cool experience. You have everything you need for a sandy seaside resort. The sunshine, the blue water, the golden beach. So don't forget to bring the bathing suit. One explanation for the source of this water is that it comes from the snowmelt at the top of Tianshan Mountain. Yet it remains a mystery as to how such amount of water accumulates amid the vast desert. From the Great Lake, we head further northwest to the legendary Bayin Buluke grasslands.
Now I believe each land has its own character, and that character influenced the people living on it. This is Bayin Buluke grassland, and here live the Mongolians. In this grassland, we need to listen to some Mongolian music.
Just like the music, the land is boundless and lends you a sense of cutting free. Wang Luobin had never been here. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have had a great time here too. The Bayin Buluke grassland is the biggest highland grassland in China. In Mongolian language, Bayin Buluke means rich spring water. The green grassland amidst the snow-capped Tian Shan mountains is the home of the Mongolians. Many of them still lead a nomadic life and live in their traditional yurt.
打搅了。谢谢。They offered me some milk tea, and we have everything here that Mongolians offer to their guests, like solid yogurt, some butter, and some bread. But the most precious thing they offer to you is their songs, and I'm going to ask her to sing a song for us. 您能帮我唱首歌吗？
好，欢迎你。
蒙古族的歌。
欢迎你唱一句我们蒙古歌。米粒的快乐是，米粒的快乐是想念自己的亲人，就这样表扬唱的歌给你唱一句。
好呢。
The tradition here goes that they will not stop singing unless you drink the wine they offer you. And before drinking it, you need to pay tribute to the heaven, the earth, and yourself. The songs are soaring and uninhibited. Somehow you get the feeling that only people living a carefree life on such boundless fertile land could express themselves in such an open way. This grassland is not exactly the kind that's knee-deep in grass. That's because it's at such a high altitude. The grass won't grow tall here. Yet the local people are very proud of it. They say it's very nutritious. They'll tell you their cattle grow robust and strong on it.
这是我的家，奔驰的骏马，洁白的羊群，还有你姑娘。
The treasured centerpiece of the Bayin Buluke is the Swan Lake. A huge area of swamp made up of many lakes. This is where more than 10,000 swans come to spend the summer before they migrate to the south. You know why the swan make this place their home? The local people told me proudly. That's because the swan only stay at the most beautiful place.
我的家，我的家，我的天堂。
days, I've spent many hours in a bus, in a car, in a jeep, across the vast land of Xinjiang, listened to many fantastic folk music, and had eaten a lot of sweet watermelons. And I imagine the journey of the lone music collector Wang Lobin over here in northern China years and years ago. He must have a different experience, but I believe we all had a great time. This is Travelogue, and I'm Li Changying. Remember, we're here to unveil the beauty of China.